So that shiny new game just came out, Forza Motorsport, and you want to know if it's worth your time, right? Well, let's take a look at the game for some first impressions. Very first thing that I did was run a few in-game benchmarks so I know what settings to use. My PC settings are included with these results as well. I tested everything on 4K with a 3080 Ti and a 5800 X3D. For my 7th run, I did DLSS quality ray tracing completely off. I achieved 75 FPS. I kept these settings and used these for the rest of my recording. Honestly, the game looks pristine with or without ray tracing. Very good graphics. Okay, so to begin with, you have an unskippable scene for about 2 minutes, then you jump right into racing. I enjoy making racing difficult for myself, so I turned off all assists except for the braking line. Also on steering, I'm using normal since I'm using a controller. And also I'm using automatic shifting since I don't want to shift on a controller. I'm using a PS5 controller with Steam input as well. For your first little practice race, you're in a Corvette. There's various camera angles that you can use, first person, third person, and there's also a rewind button. Very useful feature. Next race, you're in a Cadillac. I don't know the type of car it is as I'm not a huge car person, but it's fast and handles exceptionally well. After that little race, you get to choose your character, male or female, as well as your driving suit. Very minimal customization for your character here, but that's unsurprising as racing is a main focus of the game. Next, I got the option to choose between 3 different cars, and I chose the Mustang. I just love American muscle. Then you choose your difficulty. The bar on top can increase to 8. That makes the AI faster and faster the higher you put that. I left that on 1 for now. Then there's club rules, sport rules, and expert rules. I wanted something a bit more realistic, so I went with the sport rules. Also, expert rules doesn't have rewind, and I really wanted that feature, so sport rules it is. Before every race, you can change your difficulty and tune your car. There's lots of tuning options that you can do. Under fuel and tire, you can change how much fuel your car carries. Less fuel is less weight, but you need enough to finish the race. Tire lets you change your tire compound. So before every race is a practice session. You use it to learn the track, and also you can earn car XP in practice, just like you do in racing. Every practice session will have a lap time target, which is based on the difficulty that you set. Being near that time is a good way to know that you'll be competitive in the race. Every practice session is 3 laps, and the first practice session I beat the lap time target by 13 seconds. After that, I tried to do a burnout, but the tires wouldn't spin with braking or handbrake. Eventually I got a sort of half burnout by tapping the brakes. Yeah, I mess around too much. Since I like good competition, I upped the Drivatar difficulty from 1 to 5. I felt like 13 seconds in the practice session was too much a gap. Before the race begins, you can look over the other drivers if you want. The driving feels very good and responsive. Also, this difficulty change was good for me. It provided a challenge. I was second the entire race, which gave me first place as a goal. After finishing, you can see your times and your total points for that series. It'll then show you how many credits that you earned and any unlocks that you got. You can then view the replay of that race or save it. Once you press continue from that screen, you have more options. Performance, which is where you purchase parts for your car. Tuning is self-explanatory. Setup Manager is where you can load saved setups, share your setups, or get setups from the community. In the Performance tab, your car has to be certain level for some certain upgrades. Also, these upgrades don't take credits, but car points, which you earn by racing the car itself. So you're going to be grinding a specific car if you want those upgrades for it. The car points are on the top right. Also, you have to keep your car within the class limit of the race you're in. Top right next to the car points, CP, is the car's PI rank, Performance Index. I'm at 574 currently, but I could increase my car's performance to maximum 600 for this series that I'm in. Also, just know, this point forward I did this for every single race. I actually find the practice sessions to be enjoyable because there's segments all over the track, and each time I went around, I try to beat my previous time in that segment. Also, practice is very, very good for learning the track and the car. Tracks differ wildly, as do the cars. Some tracks are faster with looser turns, and some are incredibly tight with lots of turns. Practice is your friend. I'll be skimming over a few races that I did, so these difficulty settings that I have is pretty good for me. It's always a competitive race. I got second again, barely. On my 3rd race of this small tutorial series, I got a new option. Now I can choose where I start on the race grid. If you finish 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, you'll get a podium bonus of credits. The farther back that you start, the higher the bonus will be if you manage to get podium. From this point on, I usually selected anywhere from 4th to 7th to start each race. So in the main menu, there's several racing series. Modern Tour, Enthusiast Tour, Power Tour, Legacy Tour, and an Open Class Tour are all of the tours that you can choose. In each tour, there's several series, and each series has several races. There's quite a bit of racing to go around. Everything was locked except for the first option, practical performance. Here you choose which car that you want to use, either buy one or use one that you own. I chose an all-wheel drive Golf R. Going from a heavy rear-wheel drive Mustang to a light little all-wheel drive Golf was a big difference. I was sliding all over the place with the Golf and just doing generally bad in the practice session. For this first Golf race, I upped the Drivatar to 6 difficulty. I really didn't do that well. I finished 4th. So I did a lot more racing and upgrading, but I'll skip over all that. Now I'll talk about some more specific things. This race, for example, during practice in the first half of the race, it was lightly sprinkling, not really affecting the track. However, towards the end of the race, it started raining more. This made the track more slick. In corners, I had to brake earlier and take it slower. Also, the amount of water coming off the tires is increased. Next, I looked at the main menu. On the race tab, you can do career, which is all of the tours and series that I showed from before. Also, you can select multiplayer, racing online against others. I didn't try that yet. Then there's free play, which is where you can do whatever you want, any car and any track, and so on. Rivals is where you race against other people's Drivatars. There's no time limit or lap limit. Just keep going and going until you beat that other Drivatar. Once you beat the Drivatar's best time, the next lap a new Drivatar will be selected. So you can just go non-stop and try to be the best in that car on that track if you wanted. Then there's private multiplayer where you can invite friends or others for a more closed session. Buy cars is of course where you can buy new vehicles, and there's quite a few of them. Design and paint lets you choose a car that you own and do several things with it. You can apply decals, several layers of them, and change its color. Also, you can change your car's overall color. You can paint the overall body or individual parts of the car. On My Designs, you can load designs from various previous Forza games that you might have had. Find Designs is where you can find designs other people have created. This game is really fun and competitive to play. The graphics look really good and the car handling feels on point. It's all about improving times, and the best way to do that is braking. I feel like most of this game is trying to find the correct braking line and seeing how far you can push a corner. Honestly, I enjoy that type of racing. Also, the rewind feature is clutch. It's saved me many times. Overall, this game is really fun and really competitive. I don't have much experience with Forza games to compare this to, but if you enjoy racing games in general, I can easily recommend this one. Whether or not this is your type of game, I'll see you in the next one.